Call the course of public safety meeting to order and do the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We do a roll call.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Here.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Here.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Here.
Commissioner Bray.
Here. Okay, motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Bill,
second.
second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We have public comment? No public comment? Okay, we'll move on to, I don't see Janelle here. And I think we have her report.
No,
No, we don't have a report.
I'll get with her because I talked to Jesse
Medical.
about timing, so I'll get with her sometime to find out what's going on.
Okay, so we'll take that off and move on. And there's a hunt presentation. Oh, okay, sorry.
Y'all doing today?
Right, how are you?
Good. My name is Ray Roulette. I'm the new lieutenant at the Hunts team. The reason I'm here is last year, the county was going to pull out of their interlocal agreement for the $8,000 in that we requested. I just had some numbers and to explain why it's a valuable investment to that $8,000, as well as a reminder that the interlocal agreement is a contractually binding agreement with the county. So I have the stats for the last 10 years, almost closing in on 1,200 felony drug arrests have occurred in just your county. That ends up occurring, and that I'm including the city as well, but I can separate those if you'd like. For the work that we do in the 4 counties, that ends up being about 73% of our resources are spent in this county. The reason for that, obviously the population density. There's also a large amount of methamphetamine and fentanyl that's finding its way into your city. I can go over some of the arrest numbers as well, which ends up being just shy of 1,000 felony arrests that the Hunt team has done in this county. Right now, and I've met with the sheriff, I understand there's some staffing issues at the sheriff's department. He's a huge supporter of the team. We work with them a lot. Some of the additional things that we can also do to assist the county, specifically your county. We're a force multiplier for investigations. There's a lot of drug stuff that we do, but for example, there's a lot of fraud that's happening right now with our elderly community, specifically in this county. We've been targeting and taking off money couriers who are using those phone scams that you hear about to take large sums of people's retirement accounts. Several people are going to prison for that. We're the only team in the area that has the capability to do undercover operations. And obviously having a team and an investment from your county is a plain old drug deterrent for your citizens. The funding is very valuable, especially as we go through this Department of Government Efficiency, the DOGE program. Our team is primarily funded by the Burn JAG grant, which I know some of you are familiar with. The goal of the team is to maintain a 3 years operating budget, which is good finances in case something was to happen to the federal funding. Your contribution helps us maintain that operational account in the bank. So those are kind of some of the stats and what we do. If I have any questions I can answer for you, I'd like to do that.
Any questions?
I think just to know, and I think we spoke on the phone previously, and just because you noted this, that we are contractually obligated. But it's also usually tradition that the hunt comes and requests funds before the board. That never happened with your predecessor.
Certainly.
So that's part of what happened. And then when the cuts did happen and the board voted for that, there's quite a bit of media coverage and still nobody from Hunt came. So, and not putting that on you, I'm just kind of giving you a background on why it got to that point. And then additionally, I didn't find out until it was my time as an administrator, that the non-voting members are actually given directive to bring back the request on behalf of Hunt. It makes sense, but I can tell you the meetings that I attended when I was on the board, we sat against the wall. We weren't really even acknowledged, let alone given marching orders to come back and ask for that funding. So just to help you going forward, maybe that might happen again. So.
And I won't speak disparagingly about my predecessor.
Oh, no.
Obviously, sometimes
Your background.
when people approach retirement, they get a little more lax in what they're supposed to do. If there is any meeting that I can attend, I will be here. If you have any questions, I'm always available. And I'm gonna make sure that that wrong is corrected and you guys see me at your meeting so I can keep you updated on what we're doing. Answer any questions that we have. If you guys need presentations for anywhere, drug trends and things like that, I'm happy to oblige.
Is the funding of the officer and the funding to Hunt, are they one and the same or are they separate? Like if you have an officer, there's funding there or there's the support funding?
I can answer that, Commissioner. So they are two different line items and, so
Just
there's-
curious.
Yeah, the contractual and then there was the officer. So the board chose to defund both last time. And then we went through and actually did put the money back in for the $8,000, I believe, obligation. And I believe Commissioner Littlefield, that was put in again
Yes,
for next year as well.
it was.
We'll make sure that we get the information to the sheriff that you attended and your interest.
Excellent.
Okay.
Is there any questions I can answer for you guys?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
I'm good.
thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. We have Mr. Pfeiffer.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Mashinsky kept me in court all afternoon, so I'm not able to get back to the office to grab my notes. I'm going from memory here, but so I'm here just to give you a brief update as to where we're at with the MIDC and then answer any question. I've sent to Kim our third quarter report. I'm not sure if that got generated to the members.
That's the thing that was attached.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are at about 62% or so of our projected budget. And that's consistent with where we've been the last few years. The way it works, the first quarter of the fiscal year for the state ends on December 31st. Most of the attorney bills come in on a quarterly basis. Those bills don't come in until late December, early January. So the first quarter spending is always lower than the other three quarters. And then the fourth quarter is generally a little bit higher because things that hadn't got billed regularly get thrown in at the end of the year to try to get paid. So we'll be close to on budget. We will not be over budget, but the last couple of years, our spending has gotten more consistent, that we're spending what we're getting. Early on, the first couple of years, we had multiple thousands of dollars left over. One year, we had maybe $200,000 left over that we didn't spend. So those monies unfortunately do not roll into the county coffer. They simply roll into next year's grant. So if we have any money left, we don't get it. We just get the right to spend it next year. So we're, like I said, we're at about 62% right now. Our grant for FY 25-26 has not been approved. The grant was submitted at the end of April. We had anticipated that we would be approved in June. That's been the normal procedure, normal timeline. In June, at the MIDC State Board meeting, only 18 out of, I think, 113 plans got approved. So they really, in addition to ours not getting approved, there's a lot of other places in the state that didn't get approved. So we have resubmitted it with some additional action steps that they wanted. They're really ramping up on better reporting. They want more reporting on what the attorneys are doing. And then they want more oversight over the attorneys. So they want more screening of the attorneys. They want more input from other professionals in the system. They want to hear from the judges. They want to hear from the probation officers. They want to hear from other attorneys as to how the attorneys that are handling the cases are doing. So we had to build in some additional reporting requirements, some additional screening tools that they want. So hopefully we'll be approved in September. October 1st is right around the corner. I'm not sure what we're going to do if we don't get approved in September, but we have met by Zoom with the MIDC officials, made the changes, put in what they wanted. So we're anticipating that we're going to get approved in September. We'll still need to do the contracts for next year that are effective October 1st. So I know the next core committee meeting is September 15th. So hopefully we'll be able to present those, but they might only be presented on a tentative basis because the MIDC meeting isn't until they usually meet the third Tuesday of the month. So I think they'll be meeting on the 16th, which would be the day after this committee's meeting. So we probably won't know until then. If we don't at least have tentative approval from core committee on September 15th, then it can't go to full board at the end of September. And then we wouldn't have them effective October 1st if they don't get signed by October 1st. There have been years in the past where they didn't get signed until a little bit after that. And because we always carry over money, I don't think there's any concern that the account's going to go negative. But the timeline this year is going to be a little tighter than it is traditionally. Like I said, better reporting, better system review. That's really what they're harping on. Otherwise, the grant application is consistent with what it's been the last couple of years. Public Defender Office is still down an attorney. They've not been able to fill a position, and they've got Mr. Bayat has indicated that he is retiring effective December 31st. And there has been some indication that Mr. Grinkovich might be retiring as well. So if those two individuals are lost due to attrition, I'm not sure what the public defender is going to do other than hopefully in the meantime, try to get some younger attorneys that we can get recruited to the area. We did have one attorney that hired last year, got her through the training. She got licensed, and her fiance promptly then moved down to Grand Rapids. So it was pretty deflating for the crew, having spent that time to do that and get the person acclimated and have them essentially move on as soon as they had greener pastures. So we're hoping that doesn't happen again. I know Julie Miller has been really trying to cultivate a relationship with U of M and their intern program. We were not able to secure a full-time intern for the Public Defender Office this summer, but she's still working on that. So hopefully that will at some point lead to some new blood in the area. But that is one concern that I have locally and that I have communicated to the state board is that if we lose those two attorneys, there's just, there's nobody coming to fill the void. So if that happens, that, might result in us having to use some attorneys from out of the area on a temporary basis until we can get those positions filled. So that's my quick update. If there's any questions, I'll answer them.
Any questions?
The only question that I have, I know you and I, Bill, have been part of this whole MIDC from the beginning. And you just making a comment on the only 18 grants have been reviewed and approved. And I remember back at the beginning thinking, how is the state going to continue this? Is there any concern that you kind of mentioned that, we're getting at the point where October 1st, but what would literally happen if the state didn't have the funding to approve all these grants?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question. Hopefully we don't have to face that, but that is a question that's going around on the listserv amongst some of the other systems about, are these really going to get approved? MIDC's kind of saying, don't worry, but I think everybody's starting to think, October 1st is right around the corner here. I know our county can't absorb that. If the thought is, well, Pena County will just put the money out for a couple months while this, while we're hoping to get the grant approved. It's just not realistic. I have communicated to them that, we need to get this approved, and if there's something else we can do to push it along. But they seem to, they beat to their own drum. They're going to do what they're going to do. They don't assure me that it's getting approved, but they, are kind of saying, don't worry about it, but I am starting to worry about it. So That's a question I'm not sure the answer to if we do find ourselves in that position.
Do you think it's realistic for them to be able to approve the rest of those by even beginning of October, sometime in October?
That is their plan. They tell me that they're gonna do that. So, you know, like I say, most of the ones that weren't approved were kind of those same two issues, the better quality reporting and then more oversight on the attorneys. So they, you know, they did a couple webinars so everybody could follow along and make the needed changes to their plan. So, you know, we're confident that it's going to be approved, but I just can't tell you that until we actually get the letter that says we are approved.
Okay, thank you.
Well, you had talked about that a few months ago, about being concerned about the sustainability of the state providing the funding for these attorneys.
Yeah, there's always, you know, and John will probably remember this as well. When we first started this and the state said, well, we need a plan, we need a plan, we need a plan. And ask for this, ask for this, and ask for this. We threw the plan together with the thought, at least from my perspective, there's no way in heck the county.
I think I've even voiced that too. I'm like, how, well, I was thinking the state, how is the state going to be able to continue to fund? Because that's a huge amount of money.
Yep. And then they approved it. Then we're like, oh, now we got to figure out how we're going to do it, which took, you know, it took another year or so before we actually got how to do it. And those budgets across the state have continued to escalate every year. But at some point in time, there's got to be a breaking point where they're just either not going to approve that amount or going to, you know, maybe this was part of it, you know, putting more strings to it, making it harder to get the money. But at some point in time, that money's got to dry up. They can't keep giving millions and millions of dollars to indigent defense every year when, you know, we've got all kinds of other state budgetary issues that are cropping up.
Well, and then if you get a different governor, how this whole program could be impacted by that.
Yeah, that's also a talking point amongst the systems is if when we have a flip in who's in control, is that gonna, you know, is that gonna affect these plans where they're now gonna come back to the counties and say, well, it's your problem, you gotta fund them. Because there's just not funding there to do it. So,
It's not gonna happen.
you know, I guess push is gonna come to shove sometime soon, but hopefully not this year.
Not. I'm good. Everybody good?
Yep.
So we'll make a motion to receive and file his
I'll make
report.
the motion.
Okay, Bill, second. All in favor?
I,
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Good luck. Okay, Rob, you have,
Next, but a whole host of stuff, right?
yeah, I see that.
We got a few, so I'll kind of blend right into them as we go. The first thing I guess I'll address is the ambulance service update. I was asked to provide an update on EMS operations to the Courts and Public Safety Committee today. Attached, you'll see some documents of information relative to our response data and an upcoming EMT program being offered. I got 4 topics basically I can address in the update. One is the Alpha 101 title update, response data from January 1, 25 until July 31, 25. Stryker Power Cot Loader and Light Pack Cardiac Monitor Service, and an EMT initial program offering. Title update, obviously Bill Pfeiffer's been working with us, or he disappeared. He ran out. He'd be a perfect one. He's actually been working to obtain the title for Alpha 101 through the state. Basically, we're suing the state for the title that they can't find. So Andy, if you want to allude to where we're at with it.
We are sitting in front of Judge Black on September 3rd, and hopefully we'll declare that we don't have a title. The company that we bought it from doesn't have a title, and then he can issue a declaration or something that sort that we go Secretary of State and get the title. But we're getting closer.
We're getting closer. Andy's been handling that basically since I turned it over to him when I became chief. So we literally are on 4 years of trying to get this title.
and now that ambulance has more value.
Yeah.
It does. It's an ice cream truck. Kids will not let it go unused, let's put it that way. So that's kind of where we're at with the title anyways, just so you know.
Sounds good.
Monthly update on that. So response data, you guys can see the response data. It's just some good points that are in there. We've told 22,956 requests for service, which averages about 13.9 calls per day. with about 71.8% being patients requiring treatment transport to the emergency department. And about 22.3% of those are treat no transport, refusal care, canceled or patient assist. We're having, almost 25% of our calls are non-billable. So, or with limited billing, because we do charge a treat no transport refusal of care fee based on the type of call it is. So
Okay.
we actually have September 27th. We have strikers coming in. They're doing annual maintenance on our power cots and power loaders and the LifePak cardiac monitor service. If you guys recall, we're in a 5-year agreement with them that the county reimbursed us for, which is just short of $31,000, I think, for all the service maintenance on it. They handle any upgrades, any repairs, anything that's covered under that service contract. So we feel it has a lot of value, just risk management, basically keep our liabilities very low. And the last thing on that, we've got an EMT program. It's an initial EMT course beginning October 2nd through April 13th, 2026. Tuition for that is $1,650 per student, includes a textbook, digital supportive products, and Platinum Planner, which basically helps schedule and track initial clinical times. We're looking for a minimum of 10 students in that class. Our training officer, Doug Keel, he believes it's probably going to be a full class with 20 students. It is going to be confined basically to be open to Alpena County responders first. If we still have openings, we'll open it up outside individuals or agencies to take the EMT training.
Okay.
So it is kind of in demand. That's why we opted to go with the EMT instead of the first responder. So EMT program actually allows somebody, so if they want to apply for one of the other services in the area, such as My Michigan EMS, they can go there and work as basically a career. So as a medical first responder, they really can't. So
Okay. Any questions?
Chief,
But I think we have, oh, go ahead.
sorry, I'm sorry, and I don't see it in this memo, but I remember in a previous email, you referred to this particular class as something specific. It wasn't a normal type of class. What?
this one we're doing is an EMT basic.
Basic, okay.
Yep, EMT basic. We had the option of doing what's called the EMT matriculation, where we could allow people who are already medical first responders to jump in and basically we do an MFR class first, then open the matriculation part up after the MFR part was completed. We just don't see the need to do that right now because we have such a demand for the EMT course.
Okay, and the Platinum Planner, what is that
So
exactly?
the Platinum Planner is like a scheduler, so it basically keeps track of their clinical hours and it validates them. Correct, Nick? Kind of.
And that's something that we normally offer, or is this something new?
We do, it's kind of a requirement for most of the classes that we do. It basically just helps with the tracking and validating it for the state.
Okay.
To basically say, yes, your students actually did complete the 35 hours of clinical time.
I apologize, Chair. Thank
Oh,
you.
that's okay. So the EMT program, that is covered in your funding,
Yes.
you've got it covered then.
Yeah, we'll actually address that with the second memo on the funding part.
Oh, okay, so I don't do this report. What do you want me to do with this? Do we report, receive and file and receive? Okay, receive and file. But being that you had the funding thing, I was kind of, okay,
That's all right.
all right. So I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, support?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, okay.
Okay, so the second one is gonna be number 3, which is EMT course training reimbursement for Alpena County responders. Alpena City Fire Department is offering a MDHHS approved EMT basic initial education course beginning October 2nd through April 13th. Class will be held at our station on Monday and Thursday evenings from 6 to 10 p.m. It includes 194 hours of lecture and practical skills evaluations, as well as 32 hours of hands-on clinical rotations at Alpena City Fire Department. Course is open to anyone interested in becoming an EMT with first preference to Alpena County responder agencies. Tuition is $1,650 per student to cover the cost of class, textbook, and digital study materials and Platinum Planner to track the clinical requirements. Again, class size is a minimum enrollment of 10 with a maximum student capacity of 20. I will provide a list of Alpena County responders attending this class to the Courts and Public Safety Committee for reimbursement considerations to these agencies. As responder agencies struggle to recruit qualified personnel, tuition reimbursement is critical to their operational needs. On behalf of the Alpena County Fire Chiefs, I am requesting that these agencies be reimbursed full tuition of $1,650 for each Alpena County responder student that successfully passes the EMT course and becomes a certified Michigan E EMT.
So here's your motion.
Yep, and I have a motion if you're going to
I
entertain.
apologize, I didn't read your letter.
So that's okay, that's okay. So also I have the information on the EMT course on the back that is also in there. Just to outline it, I know that your fiscal policy might not cover the $1,650. The fiscal policy is a few years old. So I'm asking for you guys to consider basically funding the whole tuition for those agency responders to help offset that cost. I think in the past, you guys have covered up to $700 or $750.
750?
Yep, $750. So again, I'm only making the request on their behalf, basically to preemptively get this at least in front of you, so that when they do come and ask, that hopefully it's handled.
So these are all the people for the township departments
Correct.
that would be covered under, that we're normally covering under the ambulance agreement with the city shall provide EMS continuing education. It's the same.
Nope, it's not continuing education. This is initial program. We're required to put on an initial program.
Oh, so that's right. The ones that they actually, the new EMTs or fire, whatever you want to call it,
Providers.
first responders. That's the 750 that we've normally paid for in the past. And I don't know, I didn't really get to look at this too much, but I know in the past, the agreement, and I don't know if it says it in here, the 10 students, previously we would have them do their 2 years or whatever, and we would pay them after the 2 years. And I was actually just talking to Jesse about this. The concern that I know now we have is if we're paying for this upfront, the individuals get the training and then go like Bill was just stating about with the MIDC, they move on to someplace else. That's that'd be a concern that I would
Always a
have.
risk.
Yeah.
Always a risk.
Well, but that's why we had it before, that we would provide the training and then after they served on the department, at least there's some, if you will, carrot dangling to have them want to stay or be part of that department.
Unfortunately, where you hold hostage is the area first responder agencies that are already operating under struggling budgets like you guys are. So it's not the student, exactly, the townships. It's not the student because the department's paying it on their behalf. So then they're being held basically for 2 years.
Well, but when you spread that out over, and again, if they're budgeting for 2, 3, or whatever it is, students, then each of those townships are spreading it out over their budgets. So,
Correct. I'm asking for you to help them out because they are struggling with manpower and personnel. I can tell you there's one township, Wilson Township, they basically are down to just a handful of people. And we've been dealing with that, trying to keep them afloat with responders to help their communities. They don't have people. And realistically, in the whole state, there's a critical shortage of EMS providers, MFRs, EMTs, and paramedics. And that's why I asked for you guys to help these guys basically cover the cost. And we have budgeted money. We did put money.
That was my next question. You have budgeted money.
We have money that was budgeted when we did the ambulance agreement with the county, that we did some foreshadowing basically to say, you know what, we think we can come up with $20,000 for students to be able to go to class. And that was built into that budget.
Okay.
It's a little more expensive, but classes are, from when you guys put the fiscal policy together, the cost of tuition for classes has probably doubled in the amount. I can tell you, Nick just did a paramedic class and I think the tuition was like $8,500 a student for paramedic program. And back not that long ago, they were only $2,000 or $3,000 to go through that paramedic education. So I think if you can help the responder agencies, it would be greatly appreciated. And again, it would help bolster our numbers out in outlying departments. So our department alone is short 3 people. We can't find anybody. But we're paying for education for that reason.
It's a risk. So we're looking
Risk.
for a motion to this motion. Okay, support. You probably have to do a roll call,
do you want any discussion?
Do you want more discussion? Yeah, sure. That process always gets me. It's like, why do you have to do the motion and second and then discuss? Why don't you discuss beforehand?
So my only concern is we've already approved that we're gonna pay the $750 and again, I'm not big on changing our contract and what we've already approved to pay, so.
John, really quick, the contract, this is not any part of the contract. So this would actually be what your fiscal policy is. And it wouldn't come due until they're done with the class and get a license. So you're probably looking, if they finish the class in April, you're probably talking June or July of next year. So you're into the next fiscal budget before any of these departments be coming asking for reimbursement, which allows you time to be able to budget for it. Because it's not part of the ambulance contract. We just have to provide the course. It doesn't say that you have to reimburse them. Your fiscal policy is what addresses the reimbursement.
That's the $750 that we
Then we
reimbursed.
have to.
Correct.
It's the county's fiscal policy or
It's the counties.
okay.
It's not the cities. It's not the ambulance agreement between the city and county. It's the county's fiscal policy. Probably needs to be updated anyways.
But you say you already budgeted. So if you roll into next
We
year,
budgeted it when we talked about the ambulance agreement because we gave projections based on the revenue of the millage and things we were gonna look to expend.
okay.
So the money's not budgeted.
Not for next year. Correct. We don't have anything budgeted for this year because what's gonna happen is they will pay for the class. They don't ask for any reimbursement until next year.
Okay.
So when it comes budget time, if we tell you we have 10 students or we have 20 students, then at least we can give you an idea of this could be the potential that you'll have with people requesting for reimbursement. So then you can budget for whatever amount you feel is warranted to be reimbursed.
When you say that the townships asked you to come and make the request on their behalf, is that at a certain type of meeting that you guys hold where?
We have a chiefs meeting.
Okay.
And it was discussed at the chiefs meeting and I said, I'm willing to go and do it and ask as a blanket. As far as the reimbursement, and they all gave the head nod that if we have people, you don't want 8 of them standing up here asking for the same thing. So I'm trying to do it to, I guess, cut down on some of that time for you and for them. The Chief Baker was at the meeting as well, so he can vouch for that.
Do we have a county official present at those meetings?
Kim is usually invited as 911 director. Nick Harrison's invited as part of My Michigan Medical Control. And then it's each one of the township chiefs, including Jeremy Wolford from out at CRTC and the DNR.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Nope. No more questions? I think we have to do a roll call vote. Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
No.
Commissioner Bray.
Yes. Okay, motion passed.
The next item is number 4, which there were some questions apparently on the Expo/Tango agreement that we have with 4 townships, which is Maple Ridge, Long Rapids, Wilson, Green Townships. So we are in discussion with them right now for an exit plan. We've been doing the Echo/Tango program. And to give you an idea what the Echo program is, if it's an ALS unit, it's an Echo unit. And if it's a BLS unit, because of staffing, it's called a Tango unit. So we call it an Echo/Tango agreement.
I can't remember. It's been around for a while.
10 years. Each of those departments, they pay a little over $8,000 a piece per year to have that. It's totally outside of the ambulance agreement, so it's not a part of the ambulance agreement at all. What it does do is it impacts our staffing. We staff it from 8 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday through Fridays, excluding holidays. We're looking at an exit plan for that. That was never intended for a long-term agreement. Literally, to give you an idea, probably not counting the vehicle that we have out there, it probably cost the city about $100,000 to put that program together for those 5 days. And those townships only pay a little over $32,000 to cover it. So the city is essentially eating up the rest of that to make sure that program happens. The intent of that was to allow them basically a Band-Aid till they get more first responders out in their areas. One thing it doesn't do for them is it doesn't cover their license agreement with the state of Michigan as an EMS agency. And that's what the intent was sold to them for, because they still have to provide one person 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with or without that Echo. That Echo is an extension of the Alpena Fire Department. and not those first responder agencies. However, what it does do is it guarantees that somebody's out in that area during those hours, which is the hardest time to basically get people to cover because of jobs and other kinds of things. So we are working on an exit plan. The townships actually have a meeting Wednesday night where the township supervisors and the fire chiefs are going to discuss without us there as to what they want to do with the plan going further forward. Our plan is to be out of the agreement July 1st, if possible, of 2026.
Okay. You're just informing us that you'll keep us.
Yeah, we can keep you in the loop, but I don't know if there was questions.
Yeah.
Um,
What are the townships?
Wilson, Maple Ridge, Long Rapids, and Green.
And you said that they're having a meeting.
We're having a meeting on Wednesday, and then we're trying to schedule a group meeting where it's all those 4 townships. So it's their township supervisors, their township fire chiefs. It's Nick Harrison from Medical Control. It's Kim Elke from Dispatch. And then it's Andy and myself. Andy's my deputy chief.
So I know you said I know it doesn't have anything to do with the contract, but how will that impact those townships that if they can't do anything with what they have? Because you just got through saying that, they don't have the people during the day. So
what our plan is to get them to utilize mutual aid agreements with one another to make that happen, to get their coverage. And we think we can do that through the Michigan Mavis system that we're putting in place through the box cards. So if, for instance, on the first page, nobody goes en route, nobody's en route by the second page, and it's very similar to what they're doing right now. So it allows them to basically have responders. It's not happening very often where they don't have responders, except for in the Wilson Township area.
so all the other 3 townships have,
Alpena Township, Hubbard Lake, and Sandbarn are not having any problems with it.
no, I know they're not. Well, first of all, Sanborn, the Echo doesn't go to Sanborn, correct? And I've told this at my township meetings, I'm good if something happens to me when I'm at home because I've got Dale out there,
You do.
as long as he's not on vacation.
That is true. That is true. So the other thing, John, to clarify a little bit, we've been tracking the demographics to it as far as our response time and the amount of time that we actually need ALS on a patient. Literally in 10 years, if it's once or twice a year that we actually get to the point where we're doing any ALS interventions, that's a lie. So it's a very small amount of time that there's even a remote possibility that we're going to have to use any ALS interventions at all. If you go into cardiac arrest and you're out in Wilson Township, it literally is 4 to 5 minutes until the ambulance is there behind the echo unit, if we even beat them. And a paramedic, even though he's a paramedic, he still has to do basic life support stuff. So he's going to be doing cardiac compressions and an AED until more help gets there. So there really is very little time that you can do any ALS interventions at all. So we're really finding it's really not beneficial. It's a good feeling for them because we got a paramedic unit or we got a basic unit there, which is a nice feeling. However, literally our ambulance is only 4 to 5 minutes behind that echo unit. So there's very little time to do any interventions in them. Am I correct?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just I might add, so when we had the meeting with the chiefs, well, we had multiple meetings, but one out at Long Rapids Fireball, we talked to them about an exit plan. We're not just dropping this on them, obviously, but we said, what can we do? And some of the things they brought up were like, ever since we've been out there, some of their staff, like if you're out cutting the grass from 8 to 4 and you go, well, I don't need to go on that because that goes going to go. So their chiefs are going to eventually go back to their people, say, hey, the city is looking to get out of this agreement next July or June 30th. So we need to start beefing up our responses and people need to go. So I talked about it at one meeting. How about sometime in what we say the month of October, for the whole month of October, we track numbers. We say, okay, the Echo car will still be there as your safety net, but we want your membership to see how many calls they actually miss. We already have in the county, you mentioned Sanborn. Sanborn and Hubbard Lake, they may be 2 departments, 2 different names, but they're really 1 department. Everything they do, every time Dale gets a structure fire, Hubbard Lake's coming. If Dale gets called to an EMS call and he's not there, or Hubbard Lake, after 2 pages, I believe it is, thereabouts, they're coming.
You know why that is? Because both of those departments are in my district.
They're working very good.
It's good theory, John.
And I can add that Green Township and Long Rapids are looking to do a similar arrangement.
Correct. So, and the chiefs have said, we feel our people have got dependent on you guys.
Yes.
That during the day, they just go, the Echo's got it, and they don't show up.
Well, I know with Alpena or Sanborn and Osonique, they do rely heavily on, and again, I say this, we're going to be in trouble when something happens to Dale or Dale decides to retire because that is his whole,
We got the next Dale, just.
well, that is his whole life. I mean, he'll drop, he drops everything to go
Yes.
take care. And he's always the one that you see at every single call.
So the problem is we don't have that dedication like we once had because people have jobs. They're not, if you look at any of the service groups, there's not the volunteerism that there once
Well,
was.
even when he worked, he was
Yeah.
fortunate enough because he lived,
Yeah.
worked right there. So.
We just want you guys to know that we are working on an exit plan because it does cost the city a considerable amount of money to do this, to help them along. And 10 years is a long time to have just a Band-Aid on a problem. So we are looking to get out of it. Is it going to be next July? I can't tell you for sure because we need to have a plan. We're not just looking at ripping the Band-Aid off and saying we're done June 30th. We're trying to give them some ideas on what they can do to basically help themselves, if you will.
But if they're paying for it, does the money, I mean, they save.
They keep their money.
Right.
I can tell you Darren Himes from Long Rapids, he's like, we've paid $8,000 for 10 years. That's
Yeah.
$80,000. What could I do with that in my own department
Yeah.
for $80,000? And the others are doing the same thing. Really, the only one that needs it right now is Wilson Township, but it still doesn't fit their need because they still, in order to be an agency, they have to provide coverage for people to respond. People have to respond. Otherwise, they're violating their state agreement for being a licensed agency. How that happens once in a while, and Nick can answer to this, it happens once in a while, medical control is not bringing down the hammer and saying, you violated, we're gonna pull your license. We know it's gonna happen on occasion. It's because they don't have enough responders day to day that it becomes a problem and they rely on everybody else to provide the service.
Okay.
And the Echo unit really is an extension of our department. It really doesn't fit their needs with the state.
Okay.
What did your budget goes from July 1st to June 30th?
June 30, correct.
And so last year you spent, or your budget was, it looks like 62,700 for that? Does that sound right?
Off the top of my head, yeah, you're probably pretty close. And again, that's a low number because it doesn't count every time that we have overtime. If we took somebody and put them in that position for wages, benefits and everything, you're probably really close to 100 grand. We've got 2 Echo units that are very old. And for us to lease something, it's going to add another $12,500 literally per year, ballpark, to replace that vehicle right now. On top of that, approximately $100,000 personnel cost. So we probably do, the city probably does subsidize that at easily 60,000 right now, which isn't fair to the city, to be honest with you. So.
Okay, you keep us posted. Okay. Do we receive and file that? No. Not these, right? No, okay. All right.
The last thing I have is the CAD integration possibility for reporting software. So Andy and I had approached Director Elke on the possibility. We are looking at going to what's called First Due. It's a reporting software for fire and EMS. We partnered with Alpena Township to go into this together so that we get a discount. I can tell you that the other 6 departments in the county are also looking at doing that. One of the things that we would like to see happen, it's not a requirement for CAD integration. However, it would bring us into the next century of being able to do our reports. Because all the information from dispatch would basically be brought over into that CAD, into that program. So it'd be all of our dispatch times, the address, the call number, all of that stuff. Initially, when we talked to Kim, we had no idea what it was going to cost. We didn't know if it was legal, and that's why we kind of gave a discussion on that. Since then, in talking with First Due, they gave me some parameters depending on the type of reporting that we would like with that CAD integration. And then Kim actually gave me basically a quote from them of $5,340 to make this work for, I believe, fire, EMS, and law enforcement.
That's just fire and EMS.
Just fire and EMS. So it's about $5,300 to make that happen. Originally, when we talked with First Due, they said it was gonna be anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 to make it happen, depending on the format that we used, whether it was email, API format, or XML format. So what we're looking for, obviously, we want to have those discussions with Kim to make sure it's something that we can make work. And then at that point, I would look to actually approach you guys as to refund that. We do have the ambulance millage that has $500,000 that's for communications type upgrades. And I think that would be a good use of some of that money is to help with that upgrade for the fire and EMS reporting.
Okay, so this is just information.
Kim?
Does Kim want to add anything to that, or are you okay, Kim?
The only thing that I would add is that, the final information that I've received, I've been back and forth a lot with the CAD provider. And so it's a $3,000 annual subscription, and then the initial setup is 25 and change. What she recommended, so the 3,000 subscription is for as many agencies as we sign up. So if the other township, if they're wanting to engage, we should get everybody engaged together, because otherwise it's gonna be 3,000 here and 3,000 there and 3,000 here. So if we get everybody under one umbrella for $3,000 a year, that would be a lot more fiscally responsible. And also one implementation charge, which was 25 and change.
It's also one of the reasons really we weren't prepared to make the presentation because those other 6 departments are supposed to be having, we're trying to set up a Zoom meeting. So they can look to see whether or not this first due is something they're gonna transition to. If it is, and we were gonna make it so that they could all integrate, then obviously we could do it all at once instead of having a different charge every time.
Okay.
An upfee for that onboarding, if you will.
Well, then we'll know what you're talking about when you come back for approval.
So we're trying to do as much of the shared,
Uh-huh.
I guess, banking, if you will.
Okay,
To try and get the best bang for our buck in places that we can, everything from hose testing to ladder testing to any service stuff, so that it keeps that cost down for everybody. So, and this is no different, so.
So I did talk to Dale about this, and so for them to be part of this, it would, track whatever they're doing. He said that they're not gonna use or pay for the whatever it is. Is there an annual cost that you get?
Yeah, so through the state, and Nick can talk to this probably more than I can, the state actually transitioned for something that was called Image Trend. It was a free EMS reporting software.
Yeah.
That basically uploaded all your run reports to the state that they use for data. What the state did is they went from Image Trend now to First Due, and it's a free version. And my guess is all those are gonna do the free version. However, what they are talking about, because we have something called NERIS, or, all right?
Yes.
Yeah, NERIS. So it's our fire reporting software. We got too many acronyms. So the fire reporting software, as of January 1st, the state of Michigan's transferring over to that as well, which the current program probably won't support. So they're gonna have to find another program to be able to do their fire reporting on it. First Due does both. So what you're gonna see is, I think a lot of these departments are gonna have to pick a vendor to be able to do both of them at some point.
So then this potentially will be a cost to the townships.
Right. And they can buy the modules they want. So for us, for the township and the city, I think for the city, we were using 9 modules of it. So our cost is fairly high. It's almost $9,000. For a department that's only using 1 or 2, it could be only 1 or 2,000. We don't know. That's why we're trying to bring all the township chiefs together, get the Zoom meeting, get the quote on what it is, and they can each make their decision what they're gonna do. But having the ability to have that CAD upload would be convenient for them, and it'd make their reporting a lot quicker, because they are volunteers, so.
So I think it'd be appropriate for the committee to streamline the process, because it could come before, it doesn't necessarily have to come back before courts and public safety, depending on the timeline. You can make Kim the point person and have her walk through basically the process with them, and have her approve the final packaging for recommendation
To bring it to a full board.
if necessary for the sake of timeliness. So I think that'd be appropriate if
Okay.
you want to make that motion.
want you to make that motion? Bill,
I'll support.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay,
Thank you.
okay, we'll move ahead. Okay, Kim?
Good afternoon. So I will give you our rundown for June and I apologize, I'll try to get these stats out to Kim before she sends your agenda and then you don't have to listen to me rattle them off, you can look at them. But for June, we had 4,663 calls, up about 500 from the month before. We had 7 incoming texts for 911 and 29 outgoing. Our average answer time was 2.1 seconds. Our average call length was 1 minute 32 seconds. And our longest call was 37 minutes and 16 seconds. Yeah. For July, we were up again about another 500, 5,081 calls in July. We had 16 incoming texts. We like to track the texts, see how we're doing on that. We had 42 outgoing texts. And sometimes what that represents is if we have a 911 hang-up call, we'll initiate a text back to that phone number if it's a cell, just to make sure that everything's okay there because we're required to follow up. So it's easy sometimes we'll just send an outgoing text to them. Our average call time again was 2.1 seconds. Average call duration, 1 minute 29. Longest call was 27 minutes, 54 seconds. Few updates from the last couple months. Representative Cavett came to visit us at Central, came to tour 911, and I had the opportunity to visit with him and remind him that we're waiting on the aid from Lansing from the storm. As you know, we did receive the presidential declaration. I'm going to be hosting the Michigan Communications Directors Association here in December. That's basically the state association for 911 directors. So they're coming to Alpena in December and I'm gonna be hosting them at the NOAA building. So I'm kind of excited about that. And if they have a good time, I'll tell them to come back in the warm weather and we'll go out on the Lady Michigan. The state reached out, they want to have a training next summer in July, the state EOC. And so they reached out to see if we had somewhere that they could use. So they're going to be using our EOC next summer for a training. So they'll have a class full of people traveling up. So we're excited about that. I had a recent meeting in my office with the EPA and Eagle folks. And we have an exercise tomorrow morning with City and they'll be participating in that with us, have all their contact information. If we have any hazmat things come up, we have new partners now that we can call and make aware of them. And one of the folks who came, she works from her home office in Presqu'île. So she's handy close by. So I appreciated that reach out from them. We've been really pushing the code red signups for our mass notifications. Did you get the storm notifications? Awesome. We did hold a public information session on that. It wasn't as well attended as we hoped for, but appreciated Lucille coming and bringing our total attendees to 3. But we are up over 300. The last time I checked, it's been 2 days since I checked mid last week, but we're really pleased with our code red and the notifications that we're able to send out. We've had some severe thunderstorms lately that did not rise to the level of the sirens, but we can still get the message out and let people know to take cover and whatever they need to do. So we're going to continue to push that. That Rory is doing a sign up at the Senior Citizen Center on Friday. So hopefully we'll get some seniors signed up for that on Friday. So we're going to keep working at that. Just a heads up for you, the siren on Woodview Avenue is not working right now. I have notified the company that does our repairs and maintenance, and we're almost due for our maintenance anyway. So they're getting us on the calendar and they'll be up to look in and see what's going on with that siren.
Where's the,
Off Long Rapids Road.
okay, oh, further down.
Yeah. So just a heads up for you that it's not working, but they'll be here to take care of it. And I usually find out after they've already been here and left. So. And then the last item for you is this coming up Thursday is the deadline to request public assistance from FEMA for reimbursement. I have personally spoken with all of our townships. I know the city was on the call with FEMA. And so any Alpena Township was on the call as well. I've reached out to all the other townships and gotten a yes or a no from all of them. The only person I need to hear back from is Salvation Army, but Thursday's the deadline for that. I received some contacts from some folks in Presque County because they don't have an EM right now, so I've been including them in all my communication and pass their information along to FEMA to help them out. But Thursday is the drop dead deadline, so anyone that doesn't apply by Thursday is absolutely out of luck. Now, this is only the reimbursement portion. This is not the other things that we were looking at doing with the state funding. This is simply for the reimbursements from FEMA. But we have our application active, and I've given FEMA the information for everyone in the county who wants to. So we should be all set come Thursday.
I thought the Alpena News had a story in it earlier in the week that said that the ice storm bill is stalled up there.
So it
Down.
passed the House long ago. I don't have a timeline.
For signing, it's just stalled.
It's in the Senate right now.
Yeah, actually during Parks last Wednesday, I was pulled out, Senator DeMoose from the Petoskey area contacted me because there was that story going around that he was opposed to the bill and was holding it up. So he assured me he wasn't. There was some cleaning up they had to do in the language to make sure that it was, first of all, I guess the language lacked clarification on whether or not the funds could be used for other counties, for other storms outside of the ice storms in the counties here in northern Michigan. So they were cleaning things like that up. I am also hearing rumors and rumblings that there may be some other, the other caucus may be holding it up in exchange for a couple of bills to be taken up in the House. I don't know whether that's true.
That's what they alluded to.
But from what Senator DeMoose explained to me, they do anticipate, and I've spoken to former colleagues of mine who are on the other side of the aisle as well. So both caucuses seem to agree that it's going to be probably taken up and either voted up or down during the budget process, which means we're probably not going to see the funds until well after October.
That's what it seemed like. It was buried in the Alpena.
But I am working with, and we're not ready to disclose the information yet, but we are working with the Sheriff's Department in addressing some of the issues internally. As I said, same thing with the federal funding. We're thankful the FEMA funding came through. Too little, too late. We already put most of that in through our insurance companies, so once again, the state also. So we're not waiting on the feds or the state really to act. We're trying to do what we can on our own. Do you know, has the road commission, they're a part of it though, right? They're going to be made whole. That was a big.
I don't know if they're gonna be made whole, but I've been including him in all the communication, and he wasn't able to make the briefing. And so I sent him the website that has the slide decks and all the other information on it. I will follow up with him to make sure, but I mean, I hope they'll be made whole, but I just never know.
Okay.
Okay. More
Any
questions?
other questions?
Okay, so
Thank you.
you make a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you also want to do the Region 7
Oh, I'm
trailer?
sorry. Yes. Okay. So I received a email last week from the Region 7 Healthcare Coalition. So we currently house one of their trailers in the airport hangar where we have our emergency management trailers, and the sheriff has some things in there as well. So with the cutbacks at the state, they are looking to no longer own all the trailers they have strategically staged throughout the state. This one is loaded with supplies. I'm told it was used during the ice storm. I stopped out there the other day to look and see what kind of supplies were in it, and they almost fell out on me, so I quickly shut the door back up. She did send me an 11-page list of supplies that are in it, many of which are long already outdated. So I asked her exactly what this looks like, and end result, I'll save you all the in between. After talking with the hospital, I'm assuming you were part of this too. I know she talked to Austin. So the state and the hospital, if the county would agree, what we would do is that trailer, we could discard anything in there that's outdated, that it would affect its usefulness. But we would make it an equipment-based trailer versus supplies. Like there's endotracheal tubes, there's N95 masks, there's otoscopes, there's stethoscopes, there's thermometers, there's just all kinds of supplies out there. There's lots of suction things. I know I saw, there's gauze sponges. We wouldn't be using it to depend on those kind of supplies. It would be like, there's a backboard in there. Yes,
So it's called an alternate care center trailer. There were 3 of them in Region 7. These were purchased with post 9/11 monies. One was located obviously here, another one in the Traverse City area, and then the one is either in Gaylord or Petoskey. So it's meant to be a mobile site that gets sent up in the event that, for instance, your hospital is unable to accept patients or there's a huge influx of patients. There's a lot of disposable goods in there that it's very pricey to keep up on constantly replacing these disposable goods. We did use this during the ice storm. We only used the cots though. It has very expensive, I want to say they're almost $500 a piece. It has 60 of these cots that are meant to essentially set up a mobile treatment area. Some people say hospital, it's a treatment area. It's very, I'd say military in the field kind of a thing.
Nick, were they the ones that had like the thing for the drip bags to hang off?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Literally took almost an act of Congress for us to actually deploy that trailer with the Healthcare Coalition and everything else. Thankfully, we were able to deploy it. But with this, we would essentially not have the disposable goods on there anymore. We would discard those, but we would keep it for the beds and anything else that the county would feel would be beneficial to have in a disaster type situation. And the hospital's willing to assist with that. We just didn't want to. Originally, the Healthcare Coalition approached us, wanted us to take the trailer over and also pay for it being housed. I believe they pay $700 a year.
$750 a year they pay to the airport to store the trailer out there. The state is willing to transfer the title to the county. We would be responsible for storing it. And then any maintenance on the trailer. But I had good conversation with her that there would be no responsibility to be restocking all the disposable supplies in it. So it would just be taking ownership and maintenance, and like Nick said, the equipment, any equipment that we wanted to store in it, we could store in it, but that there would be no resupplying expected.
Are there any restrictions at all as far as how long we have to keep the trailer or what it has to be used?
I asked her about that. She said there.
So they just,
I asked her if she could send me a copy of like an MOU, and she said really right now there's not one, but because of the uniqueness of what she was able to work out with the hospital, she said that, it's possible they could come up with something. But the biggest thing I was concerned about is restocking 11 pages of supplies and the frequency with which that would have to be done. I know our EM budget does not have the money for that.
wow,
So-
what are the dimensions, like length? Do we know at least the length or?
30-foot, it's a big trailer. You
Okay.
need a 3/4 ton to tow it. And realistically, like with the Healthcare Coalition statewide, they've essentially been given orders to liquidate their assets.
Yeah.
Because they were going to shut all the regional healthcare coalitions down in July. They had funding for, I think, 3 months. But we're dealing with this across all of our regions right now.
What do you do with the disposable goods that are in there now?
Probably work with the hospital and
Okay.
I would assume most of them are safe to dispose, but yeah. So they would, and I told her I would have a preliminary answer for her after tonight, but that it wouldn't be, final until next Tuesday. But they are asking if the county would be willing to take ownership and be responsible for the trailer, the storage and maintenance. And I did verify with the airport manager, and the state has to pay us $750 for the storage.
And you'd leave it at the airport?
For now, yeah, I think long-term, maybe depending on if the ice storm money ever gets passed. We did talk about possibly building some sort of garage or shed out at the Northern Lights Arena Aplex property. To store other items. We would probably put a lean-to, I would think, on it, or maybe make it big enough to accommodate this trailer as well.
We need more storage for our EM
Yeah,
trailers and those kind of
yeah,
things.
long-term, but yeah, for right now, it's not hurting anything out there.
Does it have to be inside?
It really should be. I can tell you the Red Cross trailer that we used during the storm. I'll let you talk. You were there. I heard about it after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, we were literally chipping away a block of ice because there were leaks in it from being left outside the top,
They didn't have a.
vent or whatever, yeah. And so it was literally just leaking water and it was, I'm not joking when I say it was a block of ice cots that we had to thaw out and dry out before they could use. So yeah, if we can keep them inside just for the sake of keeping the lifespan of the trailer. But I mean, it's in decent shape, I take it. Right now,
It
it's
is. It
been
is.
inside, so.
It's been inside. It's been here as long as I've been with the county. It's always been up in that same trailer.
And Nikki said we used it during the ice storm. Where was that parked? Was that?
Went to the hospital and then I went out to the township north side station and then, conservation officer towed it up to Presque Isle County.
Okay, and no issues with it? No complaints or anything?
The trailer's in fantastic
Okay.
shape, and we have 3 other trailers that were purchased at the same time that were kept outside.
Okay,
And we recently had to salvage all of those.
Okay.
Scraps, so that's being inside is where it should be.
so we'll lose the $750, but we gain a trailer with some assets and we can possibly again look at building something with the ice storm money if ever passed. But if not, it's not hurting anything right now. The space isn't needed at the airport.
Did reach out just preliminary and talk to the airport manager and said, if this became a county asset, would you, consider not charging? Would that be a hard, $750 is $750? And he said with the new fueling that they're doing and the money that they're bringing in from that, it would more than make up for it. So it would be a problem on his end.
So we're looking for a motion to convert the use.
I would say to accept ownership,
Accept ownership.
accept transfer of ownership from the Region 7 Healthcare Coalition of the
$750 rent.
storage. Region 7 Alternate Care Center, ACC trailer.
$750 per month.
No, for $750 annually.
So that's what they were paying.
That's
I
what,
think it's gonna be waived,
We're gonna lose the $750 no matter what.
right?
So,
yeah, because if we don't accept ownership of this, they'll find somebody else who will.
right.
So we either have the trailer here with the ability to store whatever we might need in it and the supplies that we would want to have, or they'll find someone else that'll take ownership of it, because as Nick said, the state is liquidating all these assets.
Okay. Or would you guys, what
I'll make the motion
Okay.
that we accept the trailer.
ownership,
Yeah, ownership or
Okay.
change the ownership to county. Okay.
support? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
And sure, I apologize. I cut you off because I was trying to catch Kim before she left, but you do need your motion to receive and file the monthly 911 and EM update as well.
Yes, I want to receive and file that. And, all in favor?
All right.
Aye. Okay. Okay, so thank you, Kim. We have the ambulance fund monthly, these reports. We can just receive and file the three.
Okay.
So need a motion to receive and file the ambulance fund monthly report, the medical examiner's monthly report, and the Veterans Affairs Office monthly report.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Support, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We're good. Any other discussion? One more public comment?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay,
I'll support.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next meeting is September 15th.